Well, I'm joined by Shabnam Mustafa, who was a special advisor to the Liberal Democrats in government, and by Paul Hutchin, the investigations editor for the Sunday Herald. Well, Shabnam, let's talk about this tax credits row. What do you make of that?
Well, I just find it bizarre that SNP earlier on this week didn't even know that there were going to be powers in the Scotland Bill coming through that would allow them to top it up. But yet, at the same time, they seem to
well, hang on. They would say they couldn't know what David Mundell's amendments to the Scotland Bill were until they saw David Mundell's amendments to the Scotland Bill.
Well, everyone else seemed to be aware of it because they had proposals on it. So the SNP were playing catch-up on this, and it was quite embarrassing for Alec Neil, in the middle of a 6-minute speech, having to make a U-turn about what they can and cannot do with new powers coming forward in the Scotland Bill. And yet, at the same time this week, they seem very clear on their demands for powers in Scotland to hold another referendum. So it just seems to be that it's quite odd what their priorities
you
are
heard
this
what
week.
John Swinney was saying there. Basically, they're saying, look, we'll help the low paid, the worst off, and we'll see what else we can do once we know exactly what the situation is.
I think, well, the issue is that they've had to be kind of dragged into this. I mean, it's quite unusual for the SNP to be on the back foot on this. They should have been out there from the very start saying, no matter what happens at Westminster, people in Scotland who rely on these vital tax credits, they will be no worse off, and here's our plans to deal with it. They should have been front-footing this, and instead they're on the back foot and they're scrambling around all over the place.
Do you agree with that, Paul Hutchin? I mean, I was trying to suggest to John Swinney that, the SNP has positioned itself as we're the anti-austerity party, and Shabnam says usually you expect them out saying, we will make sure this, that and the other, and suddenly we're getting, I can't possibly say anything until I have my budget. It's like listening to a Labour or Conservative Chancellor of the Exchequer.
I agree that the SNP have definitely been on the back foot in this issue and they've had a bad week, but there is a brutal political reality underpinning this. Labour are not going to win the election, so they can afford to make bold and adventurous spending commitments on the tax credits issue because they know they're not going to be in a position to implement it. The SNP, if you look at the opinion polls, are going to win the election comfortably. So whatever they say on tax credits, they're going to have to deliver it. In other words, they're going to have to find the money. So I think that explains their reluctance. Well, I think it's been very good politics from Scottish Labour in the sense that they have tried to shore up this dwindling core vote. Of course, it begs the question, where is the money going to come from? Because Scottish Labour are saying that they're not going to raise taxes on middle-income earners. It's not going to push ahead with APD cuts and fiddle with tax bans. So I think there are question marks over that. But I just think that given that Labour are not going to win the election, they're not going to be subject to too many detailed questions on this subject. It's all going to be, what is the SNP going to do?
You can understand the SNP having to worry about these things as well. I mean, I bet you don't find the Liberal Democrats rushing to say, we don't think